What up, everybody? 15 quickest minutes of sports. Al York Sports. Another Tuesday. Y'all know Friday we pop off. But right now it's Tuesday. 15 quickest minutes. So much to do in so little time. So let's get this party started, man. So much, man. I got to do so much, man. Don't forget, Facebook, share, like. You know what I'm saying? Put your comments in. YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know what I'm saying? And put your comments in, man. Everything's much appreciated. And you know I always give it up to y'all because I appreciate y'all, man. And with that, let me give a special shout out to my man, Louis, from the Hustle Kings. I told you I had you, dog. I don't lie when I say shit, man. If I'm going to call you, I'm going to call you out, man. And with that, shout out to the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Las Vegas, New York City, LES to the death, Triple H Entertainment, my girl Holly Hot Wheels, Syndicate Radio, TV, One Voice, D Beeman, couple fights coming up. He will handle his business. He will get that other belt, or other belts or other belt, whatever it is, with the S or without the S, he's going to get that fucking belt. And also to my beloveds, the Secret Weapon, the Specialist, the Dog Catcher, and Credit Fix. Never too late to get your credit. IG me, inbox me, email me at al.newyork@yahoo.com. Let's get this motherfucking party started, man. We're going to start off with MLB first. Frank Bolling, a two-time All-Star second baseman, and the last player to hit a grand slam on Sandy Koufax. Yeah, this is ways back. Has recently died at 88 years old. Cause of death, cancer. I mean, cancer seems to be like the major killer out of everything else. I mean, used to have a big AIDS count, you know, leukemia, all that shit, but cancer is like the toughest one. And salute and rest in peace to the soldier, Frank Bolling. Now let's go to UFC. Big card tomorrow. I just want to shoot y'all a few names. Then I'm going to go to my other topic. Calvin Kattar, 21-4 versus Danny Ige, 14-2. You got Tim Elliott, 16-11 versus Ryan Benoit, 10-6. You got Jimmy Rivera, 22-4 versus Cody Stamann, 19-2-1. And then for the ladies, you got Molly McCann, 10-2 versus Tyler Santos, 15-1. And Abdul Razak Alhassan, 10-1 versus Monar Lazarus is 9-1. Tomorrow, big card. Make sure y'all tune in. Dana White and Company is popping off tomorrow. And other UFC news, I want to touch up a little bit on the. Matter of fact, before I go there, let me mention that UFC top prospect Sean O'Malley appears to have his next fight set. You know, he's an undefeated bantamweight. And he's scheduled to face Marlon Vera at UFC 252 on August 15th. O'Malley is 12-0, 4-0 in UFC. Marlon Vera 15-6-1 and 9-5 in UFC. It is off and popping. O'Malley is the top prospect for UFC. In other news, I want to tap on a little bit on that Usman Gamebred fight. Usman won unanimously. That's why he was a minus 300. I think it closed all the way out to 240. Between, you know, stomping on his feet, shouldering them. His ground and pound was just too much for Gamebred. As you seen, whenever Gamebred got up and went to the hands, he seemed like the more polished fighter with the hands. But what Usman kept doing is what Mayweather does. Take away what you do best. And he muscled him, though. Unlike Mayweather, who used a lot of tricks and stuff in boxing, Usman in UFC put a lot of dead weight on him and just basically aired him out. Whatever energy he was carrying, by just locking him in, you know, holding him, you know, ground and pound and, you know, elbowing, shouldering, feeding, whatever he had to do. He won unanimously. All the judges had him winning. Great fight for Usman, but I got a lot of respect for Gamebred. He went in there trying to get it. He didn't look scared. He didn't, he tried whatever he could, but Usman was just too much for him, bottom line. But don't get it twisted. I got respect for Gamebred because he went all out. That's all you can ask a man to do is give it his all. And he did, but his all wasn't good enough because he was overmatched by Usman. In other news, NFL. This might be the biggest contract ever besides a quarterback. Myles Garrett just signed a 5-year, $125 extension. Plus, he got 2 years left on his deal. So, Garrett, number 1 overall pick. He's played 3 years in Cleveland. He's got 30.5 sacks in 37 games. I think I'm yet to see the best of Garrett. I mean, he gave slight images, but the way he played in college, man, I still want to kind of see that, kind of like Clowney. You understand what I'm saying? And talking about Clowney, now he going to want his since Garrett got his, but I don't think it's going to work out like that. I think Clowney's going to get a lot less than Garrett for whatever reason. But Myles Garrett picked up. He got paid by the Cleveland Browns, an extension of 5 years, $125. Salute to Myles Garrett. You broke bank. I can't be mad at you. And a lot of players now are starting to break bank beside QBs, which is great for the NFL. In other NFL news, the Washington Redskins announced Monday that they will be retiring their nickname and logo. So they're retiring the nickname and logo, completing a thorough review that began on July 3rd. I'm sad to see this happen, but I totally understand. If you're going to get on this race stuff, you got to get it from the bottom. And anything that insinuates or kind of fits in the race category, you got to do without, man. And it's just sad because I've never been a Redskin fan, but, the hogs and, just the fact of not being able to see that face on a helmet, I'm going to miss that, man, because I loved it. But when you break it down, it has to go. And I'm totally with it. And I totally understand. I'm not even going to argue about this. It's non-debatable. But if I'm going to miss that face, yes, I am. I'm definitely going to miss that face. Rest in peace to the Washington Redskin name. Other news, NBA. Houston Rockets star guard Russell Westbrook has announced that he's tested positive for coronavirus before the team deported to Walt Disney. And, I think he went out to Vegas. He was hanging out with some boys in the pool. Kind of reckless, if you ask me. Him knowing the situation was going on. Matter of fact, it is reckless. It's not kind of reckless. And, he's just another one, another one bites the dust. Now, he's just the next one online that caught corona. And I hope nobody gets that corona in the bubble, because all it's going to take is one in the bubble before, Adam Silver causes it. Because if it's one in the bubble, that means 3 or 4 might have it, and before you know it's going to spread like wildfire. So I just hope that they can keep this NBA season going, which I have 50-50 doubts is going to last the whole season. I think it'll start, but I think somebody will get sick, and then they're going to call it. But I hope I'm wrong. Let it play out. Let nobody get sick, and let's get a championship winner, and let's be able to watch some basketball. In other news, let me get back to Pat Summerall, which I completed in my open sessions. A great play-by-play announcer, very underrated. Pat Summerall did 16 Super Bowls, 25 Masters, and 21 U.S. Opens, one of the greatest voices in the game. And like I said in my prior show, him and John Madden made the best tag team I ever seen since the Honeymooners with Ralph Crandall and Ed Norton. Them two guys together worked amazing. Not that they wasn't amazing on their own, but together they became better. They made each other better. And that's how I feel about Pat Summerall and John Madden. As much props people want to give John Madden, you cannot go through Pat Summerall and be like he ain't put that work in, because his voice alone, to me, drew me in. And he had a lot of different sayings, and one of them that I really like is when he used to be like, after the first quarter, nothing. That's not much to y'all, but it's just the word, the truth, the way he chooses his words. And, of course, John Madden, when he says creating a wedge and all that. But I think them two worked hand in hand. Best tag team, in my opinion, in sports history. If you disagree with me, put it in the comments and we'll go at it, man. Salute and rest in peace to Pat Summerall, who's very underrated in my book. Now, last but not least, you know how I do them players versus players. I recently put up another one, and like I said, when I put these up, I'm going to actually talk about who I like from them. Because what I do, I try to get the best matchup possible, the closest numbers possible, and knowing that these guys were clutch. And the two guys I'm talking about, one would be Paul Molitor, a.k.a. the Ignitor, and Larry Chipper Jones, a.k.a. Chipper Jones. Now, let me give you some numbers. Molitor batted 10,035 times, had 3,300 hits plus, 234 home runs, batted .306, scored 1,782 runs, 1,307 RBIs, 504 stolen bases. That I'm very impressed. And an on-base percentage of .369. Molly was a true professional. I mean, Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Star, won a chip with the Jays in 1993, was the World Series MVP, the Ignitor. Now we're going to go a little bit on Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones, Hall of Famer, MVP, 8-time All-Star, won a chip in 1995 with the Braves when they beat Cleveland, and also has a batting title. Now, what separates these two is that Larry Chipper Jones played his whole 19-year career with the Atlanta Braves, and I thought that Paul Molitor would do the same with the Milwaukee Brewers, where they were nicknamed Harvey's Warbankers when they maintained the likes of Cecil Fielder, Ben Ogilvy, Gorman Thomas, Tess Simmons, Rich Gantner, Rick Manny. I mean, these guys can fucking hit. Robin Yount, I can't forget the great Robin Yount. And then you got the Ignitor and Paul Molitor, who led that whole crew. I wish he would have stood with the Milwaukee Bucks his whole career, but unfortunately, he ran out his welcome over there, or whatever you want to call it. End up playing some seasons with the Blue Jays where he's got his chip. Probably it took that to get a championship too. So maybe that's why he made that maneuver. He made that maneuver so he could eventually get a chip, and it worked out. Then he had some good years with the Minnesota Twins when he wasn't shabby at all. So Paul Molitor, great career, a true veteran, a true professional, and I can honestly say I love me some Molly. Now let's go to Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones, true professional, stayed his whole career with one team, and definitely was a Met killer. I cannot talk about Larry Chipper Jones without mentioning that he owned the Mets. He was the Mets' father. Just like the Yankees with Pedro Martinez daddy, he was the Mets' daddy. He absolutely owned the New York Mets. I mean, it doesn't mean the world that he did, but it's just good to know that because, I'm a Yankee fan, so I love to hear this. But Chipper Jones being a switch hitter has been great since he came up. Great leader. I mean, this right here, between these two guys, I'm letting y'all know right now, it's almost incredible for me to give you who I like more. But I'm going to use my own saying, gun in the head. I got to go with the Ignitor. I got to. Paul Molitor to me was such a solid hitter. Now, numbers don't tell you much. He hit .306 compared to Larry Jones' .303. And I'm not saying Chipper wasn't clutch, because Chipper was very much clutch. It's just like saying, Riddick Bowe had a one-hitter quitter, but Mike Tyson had the same thing, but he was just more efficient. He was more stronger. His blow was more harder. So saying that he had the better knockout punch. So I'm going to say they both were clutch, but I think Molly was more clutch. Molly was that dude. I mean, I just remember playoff games with the Jays. This guy, he won an MVP in the World Series because he hit in the clutch. This guy's insane. So by saying that, I got to give Paul Molitor the edge. So you heard it from yours truly, Al York Sports. 15 quickest minutes in sports. Don't forget to tune in every Friday. Open sessions. I shall have 3 more new callers this week. Like I said, if you don't tap in, then you tapped out. And with that, I love you. Thank you guys. Continue to subscribe to my YouTube. Continue to share on Facebook. Once again, thank you very much to the bottom of my heart. Al York Sports. Love y'all, man. Stay up, baby.